The Daniel Plan means so much to my husband and I. We've been on this journey with Saddleback for a long time. So it's very special and very special to be here in this location, and we welcome all of you to hopefully changing your life for the better. So how many of you have done the Daniel Plan before? Okay, so there's some people that are either starting over or just want sort of a refresher course, and that's great. The rest of you have not, you haven't been doing it at all. No one's tried it yet. Okay, a lot of new people here. That's great. So just to give you an idea, I know this is a really busy world. Everybody's busy. So last night I drove up to LA with my daughter. She had an audition today, so we had to be up in LA. Went to the audition, waited about an hour. They canceled it, spent about 3 hours in traffic to get straight here. And then we have to turn around and go back because they have the audition tomorrow. Now, I'm not telling you that as a disclaimer because I want all of you to feel sorry for me if I say something really stupid. It's because I get it. We're busy. And one of the number one excuses for people to not eat healthy, since we're talking about food, is that they're busy. They either don't have enough time or they don't have enough money. Those are the two big things. So I want to really make this simple for you because food is going to be one of the big cornerstones for you getting healthy, for you getting well. There's so much power in food. Everything you put on the end of your fork matters. It's either medicine or it's poison. So I want to just get into this and make it as simple as I can and save some time for questions at the end, because what I want to do is hear from you. Hear where you're struggling, what questions you have. I don't want to just sit here and talk to you about all the rules. Sound okay? All right. So I love this. I want to talk to you about being a warrior. And I know sometimes that's weird in church. People don't really talk about being a warrior or fighting in church a lot, but I really want to talk to you about being a warrior, and I love this verse. The Lord is a warrior, the Lord is his name. And I adopted a warrior metaphor for my life. That's the framework I used for my life a long time ago. And I hope by the end of this, you will have that same thought process and metaphor for your life. And you'll see why. Before we get going too far, I want you all to think about your why. Why are you here? Why are you doing this? Because if you don't know your why, you will never do your what. If it's because you want to lose 10 pounds to get into a dress or a suit or whatever for a reunion, okay, you might do that. But that's not going to last because that event's going to pass. So what is your why? What's a why that's powerful enough to make you stick with it? Mine is sitting in the front row. It's my family. But this goes way back for me. I was a very sick child. I was sick a lot, like all the time. I was one of those frequent flyers at the hospital. Just constant antibiotics, my first surgery at 9. And then from that point on, it was just downhill. And never knew why, didn't really understand. I had a very poor mother. She was a 16-year-old runaway, didn't finish high school. She's amazing. She's an amazing human being. But life was not easy. There was a lot of trauma, a lot of drama growing up, and not a lot of money or education. So my best friends were the leprechaun, the tiger, the captain. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So I grew up on processed foods. And the combination of the stress and the lousy food, the lousy diet, really wreaked havoc on my health. By the time I told you by the time I was 9, I had surgery, and I was that frequent flyer in the hospital. I was sick a lot. I was not a healthy child. And I never understood why, and I didn't like it. And my family was not much better. Illness was just something we thought we had to deal with. Then at about 15, another incident happened. I was walking to high school, not that far from here, actually. I was walking to high school, 8:30 in the morning, and I was attacked by this guy, big guy in a suit. Never saw it coming. And he tried to drag me down an alley. And I fought with him. He was grabbing very private parts of my body, and I fought very hard. He was dragging me down an alley, and I knew I was going to be raped if I didn't fight hard. And I fought very hard, and I got away from him, and I was one of the lucky people who did. And for about a week, I was really scared. No one would let me walk anywhere, and I was really scared. And then it just clicked, and I don't know why it did, but it did. And I hope anyone who's ever been through something like that, that happens for you. it clicked for me, and I thought, you know what? I'm not willing to live my life as a victim because of someone else's bad choices. That's not okay with me. And I developed this warrior mentality, this thought process, and I did everything I could to be strong. I literally taped a picture of Ms. Olympia to my mirror. Like, that was a big deal to me. I started working out in the gym. I didn't want to be that twiggy type of, Victoria's Secret model looking skinny. I wanted to be strong. I wanted to be fit. I wanted to have this energy about me that no one would mess with, right? So that's what I did. And I felt pretty good about it. And things were pretty good for a while. And then when I was 23, I was attacked again. And it was a sucker punch I never saw coming. Because it came from inside my own body. And you just don't see that coming. I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer, which didn't sound that bad at first, but it had metastasized. And after several surgeries and treatments, and the depression set in, and I literally was just knocked flat to the mat. It was really hard to get up. It took everything I had to get back up. I was on 9 medications at one point, medications to manage the side effects of other medications. It was really a struggle. And then one day I thought about it, and it clicked again. And I went, you know what? You're a warrior mentally so that you don't feel vulnerable to perpetrators, right? Then why can't you be a warrior for your health? And it just sort of clicked. You have to have that same energy, that same mentality, that same thought process. Because it's a war. Make no mistake about it. It's a war. You'll see why. So this is my warrior call for you. And if you don't like to fight like I do, I love it. It's therapy. It's better than therapy, I promise you. But if you don't like to do that and you're a peaceful warrior, that's okay. You can be a peaceful warrior. Jesus was a peaceful warrior. There are many peaceful warriors who changed the world. That's okay. But be a warrior. Think like a warrior. And the minute I say that, a lot of people think, that's hard. That's hard. Fighting is hard. Because I want you to get a black belt in health. And they think, well, getting a black belt is hard. It's not. You just show up every day. You just show up and suit up every day. You don't think about getting the black belt. You just go on the journey. You just show up and you suit up every day. Where I train, if I had thought that way, I would have never gotten my black belt. You can't start thinking about a black belt on the first day. You just show up and you get ready and you do it every single day. And eventually it's like, oh, it's time to test. And I actually never saw that coming. I didn't think I'd ever get there. And that's what it's like. You just enjoy the journey. In case you think you can't do this, this is Thomas. I actually worked with Thomas at the Salvation Army, where we helped them completely revamp their food program, which was horrible. And Thomas, he was a gangbanger, had never passed his GED. He had 6 kids. The gang unit in LA broke into his house. And he went to the Salvation Army on a court order, which a lot of those guys do. He was court ordered to go there. He was depressed, hopeless, no future, gloomy, foggy, overweight. These are his words. But through some coaching, same coaching we're going to give you, he lost 85 pounds, said his mind was faster, clearer, he was energized, and he actually finished his GED. He had failed his GED 3 times. And then he passed it. And he never realized the power that food had over his thinking, over clearing up brain fog or giving you brain fog. And he sent me the most beautiful testimonial. He said, my life was a mess, and now it's a message. I have been tested. Now I have a testimony. I was a victim. Now I'm victorious. I went through trials, and now I am triumphant. We want you to be triumphant. And you can. This is not hard. It is a mindset. It's a decision. That day that I had today, I started off with that because it would have been so easy to pull off the freeway and go to Del Taco and just get a big whatever. I don't even know what they have anymore. But a big burrito of some kind, right? That would have just been easy. We were tired. We were hungry. But that is not what I'm looking for, is that quick fix. I'm not trying to put a Band-Aid over a bullet hole. I want energy to be here to talk to you. I want the long game. So short-term pain or long-term pain? or short-term pain or long-term gain, okay? So that's why my daughter and I actually know all of the stops that we can go to along the way that are healthy. And we drove the extra, 40 minutes, hungry, so we could get to that healthy place. It's worth it. So, as I said, I don't want to minimize this in light of what's going on in the world today. Weapons can be horrible, but we don't think about the weapons that we use against ourselves and that the food industry uses against you. These are weapons of mass destruction also. Highly processed, pesticide spray, genetically modified, low fiber, high glycemic foods. They are destroying so many of us and our families. This is Angie. She was a prisoner of war. I worked with her for about a year. She had migraines, rosacea, dizziness, ovarian cysts, digestive issues, brain fog, anxiety, and depression ruled my life. Now, I can relate to Angie in so many of those things. I didn't have the weight issue, but I had all the other stuff. And so often, I've thought to myself, why am I defective? Why am I defective? And to this day, it's still a battle. It's still a fight. I still have to fight to be healthy. But now I can fight to be healthy. Now I can be healthy. So Angie had all of that. I worked with her for about a year. She lost 103 pounds. All of her digestive issues. But what was really important was she said she was empowered. She had more confidence than she had ever had. Her mind was clear. Her migraines were gone. She felt strong, and she had the ability to forgive. She had been put into Jenny Craig when she was 8 years old. This was a woman who lived with shame her whole life, and she was able to finally forgive her mother. And that's powerful. So, let's talk about what you can eat. Instead of focusing on all the things you can't eat, because then it seems overwhelming, let's talk about what you can eat. Think high-quality calories. The quality of your calories matters as much or more than the quantity. That does not mean you can eat 4,000 or 5,000 calories of high-quality calories. You're going to gain weight. But if you restrict yourself to an 800-calorie diet of Twinkies, okay, you're going to lose weight initially because it's 800 calories. And then you're going to gain it back because you are going to just completely hijack your hormones of metabolism. You're going to create inflammation, insulin resistance, and all of a sudden that weight is going to come back, but it's going to be accompanied by inflammation. And that is what you don't want. So high quality calories, and you get to eat more when you do that. You've got to water your brain. So drink half of your body weight in ounces, don't drink your calories, and make sure you water your brain first thing in the morning. So warm lemon water with ginger, that's like my favorite for my daughter and myself. And why? Because when you are hydrated, did you know you're 19% more physically powerful when you're hydrated? Which means that you're 19% less powerful when you're dehydrated. So studies actually have shown that you lift heavier weight in the gym, you have better cardiac output when you're hydrated. Study on pilots showed that just being dehydrated by 2% radically changed their cognition. Now, that's not a plane I want to be on. So you want to be hydrated to be your best. And everybody's like, but water is boring. Okay, we'll try a little bit of sparkling water with maybe a few drops of stevia or some lemon. You can try spa water, that's my favorite. Put some mint leaves in there and some berries or some watermelon chunks. Tastes amazing. Green tea. Be creative. The next rule is to think of clean protein like medicine and eat it throughout the day. So just like medicine, you wouldn't go take a big dose all at once. You'd break it up into small doses and spread it out. Whoops. Who did that? That was not me. That's my disclaimer. So protein, small doses throughout the day. Why? Because it helps to balance those hormones of metabolism I was telling you about. It is going to balance your blood sugar, increase your focus. So you want that small amounts of protein throughout the day. And it does not, I know there's a lot of vegans. How many vegans are in the room? Oh, not as many as usual. Okay. So that applies to you also. Just eat clean, non-animal source protein. So protein powders or organic tofu. That's fine. But you still want to think about this protein concept because it's going to make you feel more satisfied. Healthy fats. Fat is your friend. If someone calls you a fathead, say thank you. I don't know what's going on up here. If someone calls you a fathead, say thank you. So this fat-free craze was one of the worst things that ever happened to our society. But you do want to focus on the right fats. So they've got to be healthy fats, not trans fats. Things like nuts and seeds and avocados, fish, like oil from fatty fishes that are like wild, salmon, things like this. And avoid fats that are unhealthy, like potato chips, fried fats. Carbohydrates are not the problem, but simple carbohydrates that quickly turn to sugar, those are what you want to avoid. So my favorite way to start my morning is with a smoothie. So think lots of fiber. So things like berries and greens, very colorful, and this thing keeps skipping. Maybe I'm bouncing it too much. That's a great way to start your day. So smart carbohydrates, things that are low glycemic, very colorful, high fiber. Let's see if I can do this without switching it too soon. So one of the best alternatives that we know of so far is stevia when it comes to sugar. It's great if you actually limit how much you get in the form of sweet foods, but if you're going to add something, add stevia if you can tolerate it. There are some people who don't like it or who can't do it, but stevia has not been shown to have any health problems. Other artificial sweeteners are a problem. Stevia is not like, it is not completely natural. So a lot of people think of stevia as being natural. How many of you think that? So stevia, the plant, is natural, but it is processed when you get it in the bottle. Okay, so that's why I'm referring to it that way. But it's not processed the same way that other artificial sweeteners are. And it has not been shown to have the same problems. It's not created from scratch from chemicals to create a product. It is actually extracted from a plant. That's why it's healthier for you. And eat from the rainbow. Foods of many different colors that are low glycemic, but not an artificially colored rainbow. Not Skittles, not Starburst, not grape jelly. Things like this are not good for you. And we know now that those artificial food colorings wreak havoc on the brain, on brain function. So if you've got ADD or you have trouble focusing or you have a kid who does, and yet we load up all of their food with artificial food coloring, and it's never made sense to me. Even children's like cough syrups and Tylenol. What? Why are we doing this? It makes no sense. We have to be smarter. Spices, lots and lots of spices. These are so powerful, they should be kept in your medicine cabinet instead of your kitchen cabinet. Spices are so powerful, they have so many studies now. So curcumin from curry, that's added to curry. Curcumin with vitamin D has actually been shown to decrease plaques in the brain associated with Alzheimer's disease. Saffron's gone head-to-head in studies with other antidepressants to decrease depression, to improve saffron, to improve mood. And there are so many more. Cinnamon improves focus, mint improves memory. So these are just amazing. It's also a great way, spices are also a great way to get your kids to eat healthy. So a lot of kids don't want to eat anything green, right? No veggies, nothing green. One of the ways you can get some antioxidants to boost your kids' diet if they won't eat vegetables is start with spices, but things they like, things like vanilla, cinnamon. You know, those are foods that, mint. So a lot of kids will tolerate those things and they like them. And that's a really good way to start increasing the antioxidant level in a child's diet. So here's what we want you to eliminate. And I don't want you to think of this, starting out, as I'm never going to have these foods again. Because what do you think of the minute that I say, you can never have this again? You want it immediately, right? So I want you to think of it this way. Number one, I don't even want you to think of it as something you can't have. You can have it. You know you can have it. I know you can have it. The question is, why do you want it? Right? So when I think of, this is about abundance, not deprivation. When I think of deprivation, so many people look at this list, sugar, gluten, soy, dairy, grains, most grains, corn and processed foods, and they're like, that's deprivation. That sounds terrible. I can't do it. That's everything in my house. How many of you, that's like a lot of what's in your house? Oh, it's a pretty clean group. Okay. Either you're not honest or it's a clean group. That's good. So when you look at a list like that and you think to yourself, there's either nothing to eat or that's deprivation, I can't do that, then you immediately set yourself up to fail. And this is about abundance. So you've got to flip this around in your head. When I look at that list, as somebody who's been really sick, I had cancer 3 times. And I got a whole bunch of other health problems, resulting from that. When I look at that list, I used to eat that way in excess. That list is deprivation. Because that list of foods, the way that I ate was what led me down that road to hell. Literally, like hell with my health. But being up here talking to you, that's abundance. Cupcake, being here. Cupcake, being here. My family, not being sick, having energy. I went for a run with my daughter this morning. It was amazing. Wow. I don't know. What do you think? That cupcake holds no power compared to that. So think about what you're saying when you say you can't give something up, or you love it so much. Those things have no place, no business holding the same thoughts and place and space in your brain as your newborn baby, or your husband, or your parents. Why are you going to give them that much power over you? That's deprivation. That's being held prisoner. So while you're thinking that there's nothing to eat, I just want to show you what our typical day of nutrition looks like. So we start off with warm lemon water, like I told you. Every morning, my husband, who's amazing, makes me my pumpkin spice latte. Now, the way we make it is a very healthy version. It is not the version you're going to find at most of your coffee houses, but it's delicious. It's made with almond milk, very little caffeine. It's wonderful. Either a smoothie or maybe my Tanana pancakes. That recipe is free. It's on my website. You can get that at tanainman.com if you want it. You have so many resources. A lot of my recipes are on the Daniel Plan website. You can get free recipes off of my website. You have a ton of free resources to do this. Veggies with some guacamole or hummus for a snack. Giant salad with some protein on it of some sort. Green tea. How about a pumpkin protein bar? And maybe a coconut wrap with some banana and almond butter. And what about some garlic shrimp with Alfredo sauce? And chocolate mousse for dessert. Does that look like deprivation to you? No, it's about how you do it. And just learning how to switch out some of those simple ingredients. And believe me, contrary to popular belief, I've written 8 books. 6 of them have been cookbooks. But contrary to popular belief, I don't love to cook. I don't. I do it as a service to my family. When I do it because of that reason. Or I do it because I know that I want to be healthy. But it's got to be simple. That's why so many of these recipes are made to be very, very simple. So you've got to know why you're in the fight. That's why I'm in the fight. I love this. Warriors fall 7 times, but they stand up 8. But they still fall. That's the point. So I would love to challenge all of you to take the word failure out of your vocabulary. And for the next 2 weeks, like I talked about before, I don't want you to think about never doing this again. It's not about that. I don't want you to think, oh, I can never do this, or I'm never going to see chocolate ice cream again, or whatever. I want you to think about doing this for 2 weeks. Commit to it for 2 weeks. If you don't feel better, I will be stunned, because I've been doing this a long time. You'll want to continue on. The first 3 days are going to be irritating, I promise. I already know. The first 3 days are hard, because that's when you're kicking that sugar addiction. And then it gets easier and easier. Commit to it for 2 weeks. And if you fall, get back up. Don't sit there and cry about failing. So I practice martial arts. I love it. And it was really weird at first, because you have to get over being a perfectionist. Like you really, and as a woman, that's hard. How many perfectionists in the room? Yeah, it's a female thing. It's really weird. And we think if we don't do it perfectly, we're not going to do it at all. I'm going to pick up my toys and go home. I'm not going to do this. So you have to get over that. Because when I started practicing martial arts, at least where I practice, I got knocked down a lot. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, no, I don't want. I feel stupid. I feel weird. Like I can't get knocked down. You want to stop because it's not fun. You feel like you're not doing it right. But the first thing you learn is to pad up and to fall safely so that you can get back up and get back in. That's what I want you to think of. There's no failing. There's only falling. The only time you fail is if you don't get back up. So warriors fall 7 times, they stand up 8. The Lord will march out like a champion, like a warrior. He will stir up his zeal. With a shout, he will raise the battle cry and will triumph over his enemies. I love that. I love that verse. So, it's so powerful. So, that's me. Not the one upright. That's what I mean by falling a lot. I came home from this day of training and I was literally covered with bruises from like head to toe. 3 days out in the desert, it was 100 degrees, it was miserable. And I'm like scratched and cut and bruised. And I come home, my husband's like, I don't even understand. Like, I have no clue why you do this. Do I not take good care of you? Like, what is the problem here? My daughter didn't even say anything to me. She literally looked at me and rolled her eyes, walked away. So I'm driving her later, and we're going somewhere, and she says, why? I don't understand. Why can't you just be a normal mom? And go to the mall? And like have lunch with your friends? I don't understand. And here's the reason. Thank God, number one, because most of my friends are not at the mall. Fortunately, most of my friends are training. The reason that I do it is because it reminds me, you can't wait until fight day to start training. If you've ever been sick or you've taken care of somebody sick, you cannot wait until that day to start. It's too late. You will lose the fight. You have to train and be ready every day. You have to train and be ready before it comes. As my husband likes to say, if you knew a train were coming to hit you, would you stand on the tracks? No, you would get out of the way. It's the same thing. You train because you don't want to be sitting down or laying down or weak the day the fight comes. That's why I do it. And that's all I have to say until the end. Thank you so much. We will answer questions, so write them down, really to do. And I am going to welcome my husband up.